Welcome everyone to UC Panel Day, weekday panel day 3, UC Panel Day 4. Um, we are the Branham Alumni Network, and basically our core goal, we just want to help Branham high school students and high school students in general with applying to colleges, and specifically with this program, getting a more honest outlook on the UCs and the UC system. So today we have Taylor Wong joining us, and she's going to be talking with you about UC Riverside. So first we will introduce our alumni and then go through a little bit about the campus itself and then get into the actual interview and finally a Q&A.
Oh, also, for the Q&A throughout the webinar, if you have any questions, feel free to privately message Taylor, and then we'll get to them at the end, like George said. And I'd also like to introduce the lovely Stella, and she is actually going to be moderating this first half of the webinar, and so she's going to introduce herself and how she's related to Branham Alumni Network.
So, hi everyone, my name is Stella Wong, and I'm part of Bruin Bruin, which is working together with the Alumni Network, and Branham students can sign up for Bruin Bruin, which is a student-to-student tutoring club. So Taylor, could you introduce yourself to us?
Yeah, sure. I'm class of 2019 from Branham. I am now a second year at UC Riverside. I went in undeclared, but I have recently declared neuroscience as my major. I'm currently involved in VSA at school, and during high school, I played field hockey and softball.
So some basic facts about UC Riverside. It's located in Riverside, California. It works on a quarter system. The student to faculty ratio is 21:1. Acceptance rate is 51%, and the undergrad population is about 20,000. And then popular majors at UC Riverside are social sciences, biological and biomedical sciences, and management marketing. It's ranked 39th in top public universities in America and 22nd in most liberal colleges majors, philosophy, computer science, and international relations. So now we're just gonna ask you a couple questions. So what factors contributed to your decision to pick your university?
When picking colleges, I was in between two. I was in between SDSU and UCR. I think at SDSU, I was like admitted to the honors program, but I think the biggest decision factor that contributed was definitely like financial aid. Like Riverside honestly offers like a lot. So I got like a lot of financial aid from UCR, and like that was probably why like I chose to go there. And also as a UC, so I was like, might as well pick the UC.
And could you describe the demographic and kind of vibe of UC Riverside?
Yeah, so the demographics, I'm pretty sure recently the Latino community there actually is it's like all Asians and like Latinos. There's like barely any white people there. The vibe at my school is pretty calm. Like Riverside, the city itself is like kind of quiet. I think if you want to do anything kind of fun, you kind of have to go like an hour, 30 minutes out from UCR. It's not too bad. Riverside itself, like the city itself, is a little sketchy, but it's not too bad.
And what are the major activities that go around your campus, and what are you in?
So the major activities that go on at my campus, there's a lot of free concerts at Riverside, and Riverside is actually known for having like pretty good lineups. The major activities I'm involved in are VSA, which is the Vietnamese Student Association, and I was kind of thinking of joining Greek Life, but if you are interested, I know that Greek Life is pretty big at Riverside, so yeah.
And what's something you love about your school?
I think I love the diversity at my school. Like, it's just kind of nice seeing so many different people come together and like create a welcoming and like safe space for everybody. There's a lot of clubs and organizations on school, so it's pretty easy to make friends just because there's so many people there with a lot of different interests. Like, it's pretty easy to find your people. I think I found like my people within like the first month at school. And there's a lot of things to do. Like, they offer a lot of activities and everything, so yeah.
And what's your least favorite part? And do you think that any improvements could be made?
I think my least favorite part is definitely just like the location, because like Riverside itself, like I said, it's a little bit of a sketchy area. So like it's like campus, and then right outside campus, there's not much to do. I think there might just be like a bowling alley everyone goes to, but like outside of Riverside, there's a lot. The weather's horrible. Being in Riverside, it's like so hot. I think like earlier this summer, the hottest it was there was like 111. It also gets really, really cold down there. I think to improve my school, I think they added a lot more buildings, so the classroom sizes, they're definitely going to be bigger because there are some lecture halls that don't have enough seats, so you kind of just end up sitting on the floor like wherever you can if you're late. I know that they're making a lot more housing because I know that that was a big problem. Like, there wasn't a lot of on-campus housing for students. I know they're making more, so I think that should get a little bit better. And choosing classes like a little iffy at Riverside, because when you're registering for classes, the amount of credits that you had previously registered for the previous quarter affects where you're going to stand. So you get certain time tickets, and that's just what allows you to register for your classes. And then basically, like, the more credits you take, the higher up in the schedule your time ticket is. So you'll get better classes if you have more credits.
And if you could tell something to your high school self, what would you say?
I think if I could tell my high school self anything, it would definitely be to enjoy senior year, but make sure to get all your work done. It's really important, as everybody knows. I think also I would have told myself to better prepare for college because it is a little different, especially like from living in San Jose, moving all the way to Riverside, which is like 5 to 6 hours away. It's a little different just, being on your own and everything and being far away from home. I also would have told myself that the closest airport to Riverside is like 30 minutes away. So that's like a $40 Uber there and back every single time. It's horrible, but you have to give and take.
And now people can either send Taylor private messages or just put their questions into the chat.
Okay, the food. Okay, Riverside. So there's two dorm um like dorm eating halls. What I totally forgot what they're called. And there's like one in IA, which is like one of the dorm halls, and then there's one in Petlin. The one in Petlin I think is better. The food's not honestly the best, but the orange juice is really good there. Okay, next question. What research opportunities are you given? There's actually, Riverside is actually known for giving a lot of research opportunities. There's a lot of different, I think we use, I forgot what like website we use, but basically there's like this whole website and you can just sign up for different hours with different professors. And it's just like a list of different experiments that you can sign up for. And then I think you get, depending on which one you get, I think you can get like 3 hours up to like research hours. And I know that if you bond with the professor who is conducting the experiment, they will be able to give you more hours and just talk more about it. I'm getting a lot of what APs did I take in high school. Honestly, I didn't take that many APs in high school. My junior year, I think I took AP Lang and and AP Calc AB. And then my senior year, I took AP Calc BC and AP Psych. That's what I took. What did you write your essays about? I think I wrote one about like leadership and like how I used that in field hockey and how it was, you know, executed. And then I think my other one was just talking about like me overcoming like a hardship and how it's made me grow as a person and how like it's affected my outlook on life and just how I'm gonna take that to myself. What are the sports like at UCR? There's no football team, which is kind of sad, but we are a D1 school, so like watching the soccer games and the basketball games is honestly a lot of fun. I used to go to those a lot. Softball and baseball season are pretty popular there too.
I actually also have a question because I see
Go
your
for it, George.
stories sometimes. What do you do in your free time at UCR?
Oh, in my free time, okay, so there's so at Riverside, the campus is like pretty big and it's still expanding. So there's actually this place called University Village, like really close to campus, and there's a movie theater inside. And like that movie theater, I think they do like discounted movies. It's like $2 movies, and it's like just movies that just came out. And like students get like discounts, and then there's like a bunch of boba shops and like food places around there. Oh, and then also fun fact, in the movie theater, they actually like conduct like lectures in the movie theater. So like you're sitting like just in a movie theater while listening to a lecture. And I think that if you take night classes at the movie theater, they'll give you like free snacks, I think. And then there's a question that says, do you get a lot of opportunities to connect with teachers? Honestly, you do. Like the teachers there, I mean, all the teachers at NEUC, they want to help you succeed. So going to office hours, like you guys, I can't stress enough that everyone should go to office hours. And the teachers, they're very understanding. Like if you just tell them, if you just, if you want to have a connection with them, don't be discouraged. They're honestly like willing to talk to a lot of people because they want to help. And honestly, like talking to the professors, they kind of give you like a little roadmap of kind of like to help you, succeed in your career that you want to pursue. How big are class sizes? So it depends. Some class sizes are honestly really big. Like I've had lectures where there's been like hundreds of people, like there's like 300 people in one room. But there also have been other lectures that's like 30 kids. Like I think the more general like intro classes, like I took like a Psych 001 class, it's like bare minimum intro class. That one had like 300 people. But I took a women genders class, like sustainability, and that one only had like 30 kids in the lecture and then like 20 in the discussion. Like it depends on what you're taking and what college like you're into in UCR.
Can I also ask, what are the individual colleges like? So you're in neuroscience, right? So do you
Yeah.
interact with a lot of like pre-med students?
Yeah, so actually the neuroscience is underneath two colleges, I'm pretty sure. It's underneath the College of Natural agriculture and like sciences, which is CNAS, which is like basically all like the bio and chem majors. And then I'm in the College of Humanity, Arts, and Social Sciences, which is CHAS. And then the third one is Burns College of Engineering. The CHAS, like the social science one, is like, it's primarily like a bunch of arts ones. And I'm pretty sure the most popular one is CNAS because everyone goes there for obviously, like, I think CNAS is more directed towards pre-med students. Someone asked, what is it like living outside of campus? So housing at Riverside is a little interesting. It's honestly pretty cheap to get a house there. I feel like more people get houses than they do apartments, but there is a lot of housing like available like right outside campus. Like I think the house that I'm trying to get is like a 10-minute walk from campus. It was like super easy to find, like housing's really not a big deal. Someone asked, what's it like to double major between departments? I'm thinking of double majoring with industrial engineering and humanities major. I'm not too sure about double major because I'm not double majoring. I think it might be a little difficult because when you apply to, like, when you're applying for your major, you put down, like, if you were doing industrial engineering, you would apply that. So you would be in the Burns College of Engineering. But the humanities major would follow underneath the CHAS college. I'm pretty sure it's definitely doable, but it's going to be a lot of work, and it might be hard because the classes that are needed for both, like required for both, might not overlap. So you might end up taking a lot more classes than you would expect to. What is the financial aid process like? The financial aid process, you have to fill out your FAFSA and make sure you get it in on time. I know that there's a lot of scholarships and just a lot of grants that they give out. I think recently, like for COVID and how they responded to that, I'm pretty sure like there's like a club, I think, or like an organization on school called the CARES Act, and it's basically just like students just looking out for other students. I don't really know much about it, but I know the CARES Act somehow got like all the students on campus like a grant for COVID, and it was just like however much money they just like like your financial aid also depended on, and they just like sent out little grants for everyone. I don't know, but the financial aid process isn't too confusing. If you need help, the people at the financial aid office are there to help you, so don't be afraid to ask. My favorite memory at UCR. Okay, I think my favorite memory has to be, so in the dorm building that I lived in, there's like the laundry room is in the basement. And in the basement, there's like these like, they call them, everyone there calls them the tunnels, but it's basically just like little, it's like a hallway for all the workers to like get around in. And then sometimes they'll leave the doors open, so me and my friends would always go in there and then just take Sharpies and like tag our names and like our Instagrams and just draw a bunch of stuff on the walls. And it's kind of cool because like people from like class of like 1990 whatever like wrote on the walls too. So it's just kind of cool like looking around and everything. I think that was definitely my favorite memory because me and my friends would do that like all the time. How are the classes like for neuroscience? I haven't taken any specifically like in like my upper division courses yet, but it's a lot of like bio, I know for sure. So I guess I'm excited, you can say, about that. Do you have any general advice about high school / the college app process? I think my only advice is to get it done early, and honestly, like reading over your essays, like don't like feel free to just ask, like your friends or like whoever to read over your essays. I just think it's important to have someone else besides yourself look at them. And honestly, just like be really, really honest and just really show your commitment and your passions in your essay, I think. because that's the only thing that's going to stand out, like have you stand out than other students, because your statistics can only show so much. Next question, how did your average day at UCR look like before COVID? Okay, so before COVID, let's see, I also signed up for like a lot of afternoon classes because I made the mistake of signing up for a 7 a.m. fall quarter, and that was like the worst decision. So I think average day was like I woke up, took a shower, ate in the dining hall, went to all my classes, came back, and then hung out with my friends, or like went to sports games, or like went off campus to get food. Lauren asked, what skills do people need to develop in high school that will help them succeed in college? Definitely time management. You guys need to learn that, or just in college, you'll learn that literally nobody is there to, be on you to make sure you did your homework, you went to class. If you don't want to go to class, then you don't have to go. Nobody's forcing you. But this is your future and your career that you're working towards. So I would hope that you guys, want to go to class. I think that a lot of self-discipline is necessary in college because, it is a little hard and it gets a little frustrating when like your friends want to do something, but you have finals or midterms and, you have to pick school, obviously, because we're all students first. I think those are probably the biggest. Also, learn how to cook. Please do not go into college not learning how to cook. Oh, please learn how to do laundry. The amount of people on my hall who asked me how to do laundry was pretty embarrassing. So please learn how to do laundry. Someone asked, what's the academic competition like? I think it depends what college you're in. I know it's pretty competitive within the engineering one. I know within like the CNAS, which is like all the bio and chem majors, the community is pretty tight. So I know like most of the people like have like study groups within like their like people within the same class as them. It's not too bad, but it is a little up there. What is your favorite class that you've taken at UCR? I think my favorite class I took was like a women genders class about sustainability. That one was just a lot of fun because I've never taken a women genders class because obviously they don't offer those at high school, and then just like learning about it and seeing how it applies to the real world was kind of cool. What kind of extracurricular activities did you have? I was involved with sports. I did field hockey and softball, like I said. Field hockey, I played for 4 years and I was captain. I think I did best buddies for a couple of years. I did a lot of volunteering at like the American Diabetes Association. I know I had a lot of hours there, but honestly, like my high school resume was like not impressive at all. Like all I had was sports and like a couple volunteer hours. Like I didn't do that many clubs, and I didn't do a lot in high school, but I mean, I still got into UCR, so. But yeah, I think I was just primarily involved in like best buddies and sports, because sports took up a lot of my time. Oh, and I did band. I was in concert band for like 2 years, I think.
Are there any more questions, or have you finished all of them for the most part?
There's one more. What clubs oh wait. Are there any clubs you want to join in the future? There's honestly a lot of clubs I want to join after finally just discovering them. There's a lot of clubs actually that are they like kind of, there's a lot of networking clubs that will help you, like once you've graduated, to like get jobs and like internships. And there are some, I'm pretty sure, like Greek life, like sororities and frats or whatever, but they're like business frats and sororities. So I'm pretty sure I'm gonna join one of those. I think there's like a neuroscience one, so I'm debating joining that one. I was also debating joining Greek life, but with COVID, I'm not so sure anymore. But definitely VSA is a lot of fun.
So if there's no more questions, we can probably move on to our next panelist. But thank you so much, Taylor, for
You are
joining
very
us today.
welcome.
We're so grateful for all of the knowledge and
course.
wisdom that you shared with us.
Of course.
We hope that you have a great rest of your year.
You as well.
George, do you want to introduce our next guest?
Yes. Thank you so much for coming, Tanvi. Sorry, am I pronouncing that right?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. This is Tanvi, and she's from UCSD, and she will be speaking on behalf of UCSD and the UCSD experience. Let me just go back. Sorry. And just for everyone who might be new, we are the Branham Alumni Network, and we represent a group of Branham graduates who just want to help high school students with the college app experience, and with this UC panel sort of contribute to a more honest outlook on the UCs, and specifically within this half an hour on UC San Diego. So we're going to be introducing Tanvi, and then basic facts about UCSD, then an interview, and finally a Q&A. And if you have any questions, please feel free to message Tanvi directly, or also I'd like to introduce Stella, who, oh, sorry, Stella left. You could message either me or Lauren, preferably Lauren, because I have to screen share, so I don't know if I'll be able to view your questions well. So message either Tanvi or Lauren. Sorry about the miscommunication. So could you introduce yourself? Sorry, yeah.
Yeah, so hi, I'm Tanvi. I go to UCSD. I'm an incoming second year. I'm an international business major there, and I'm thinking about declaring a computational social science minor sometime later this year. So that should be a fun experience. Should I talk a little bit about UCSD stuff too? Or?
Oh yeah, you can sort of like go through this information.
Yeah, so the location, yeah, it's San Diego, but more specifically, UCSD has a really nice location, and that it's like specifically in the neighborhood of La Jolla, which is right on the coast. So from various parts of the campus, like you can see the beach. It's overall quite a nice place in San Diego to be. We are a quarter school, just like Riverside and all the other UCs except for Berkeley. The student faculty ratio, I think that is pretty accurate in terms of like discussions. The one thing that is important to mention, just like all the other UCs, is that oftentimes our lecture halls are significantly bigger. Yeah, and then the rest of the information seems pretty good to me. UCSD is primarily a STEM school. So definitely if you are interested in STEM, I would really recommend, especially we're like especially known for our cognitive science major. It's like one of the 4 most undergraduate programs for cognitive science in the country. So if that's something that you're considering, I would definitely encourage you to apply for UCSD. But also I'm not a STEM major and I love it there. So to each their own.
And now we'll be getting into the interview questions themselves. So what factors contributed to your decision to pick UCSD?
Okay, so I applied to like a few other UCs, and UC San Diego is my favorite for like a few reasons. One, because a lot of other UCs didn't have a business major specifically, which was a really big deal breaker for me. And then additionally, UCSD specifically had like the international business. So like my major is a combination major, both international relations and like business management. So like the fact that UC San Diego had that was a really big reason why I chose it. And then on top of that, like I liked San Diego as a college town a lot, and like going there, I like it more and more. But in terms of like just why I picked it before I knew that much about it, like before I started attending, I would say probably those 2 reasons.
Describe the demographics and vibe of UCSD.
So being like right on the coast, it's like a very beachy school. I would say UC San Diego is a very, very like in terms of the vibe, it's very relaxed, which is something that I'm personally a really big fan of. Like I just like in general, the student body, like it doesn't see, it's not for me at least, it's not very competitive. It's like everyone is there to like get their degree and work really hard. But at the same time, it's a very collaborative environment. And a lot of our like study spaces and like buildings and stuff are really conducive to that. In terms of demographics, we are a pretty diverse UC, which is handy. And I mentioned before, you know, it is like a big STEM school, so you will see a large like majority of STEM students. That being said, it also like all the non-STEM students oftentimes also have like really like tight-knit communities because of the fact that STEM is such an overwhelming like large portion. So like being a non-STEM major myself, like I would say I actually kind of like it because then the things that are specifically geared towards non-STEM majors, like I just have more opportunities that way.
What major activities go on at your campus? What are you involved in specifically?
So last year I was a dancer on UCSD Zor, which is like the Bollywood fusion team on campus. And this year I'm one of their captains. So that was probably my biggest time commitment. Apart from that, I was also a staff writer. And this year I'm the finance director for the Prospect Journal of International Affairs. It's like a student run organization. And we like have really cool articles written all about like various things happening around the globe. It's an online journal and it's really cool. So if you're ever in the mood to read up, I would recommend checking it out. In terms of, oh, I'm also like planning on like rushing this quarter just because I mean everything is online, so I thought might as well. And in terms of like internships and jobs, UC San Diego is actually they have this organization called The Basement, which is known as like an entrepreneurship hub for young like students that are looking to get into like business and innovation in all majors. And so that is like one of, I think UC San Diego's like coolest assets. And so I did like a fellowship for them over the summer, which was just like an entrepreneurial research like fellowship in which we worked with like specialists all over the San Diego area to just learn about businesses and like develop an entrepreneurship idea of our own.
What do you love about your school?
I love going to UC San Diego. Like I love being a Triton. I would say obviously I already mentioned that the location is awesome, not just because of the beach, but San Diego in general is such a great city. Like there's it's definitely like a very urban environment, but at the same time there's not like overwhelming amounts of like traffic or like pollution or things like that. And then there's like a really nice downtown area, there's like a beach accessible, there's so many things to do all throughout that like the location is like amazing. And then on top of that, our campus. So our campus is actually like up, like UCSD and Davis have the two biggest UC campuses. And so I would say like the circumference of our campus is about 4 miles. So it's huge. And the benefit of that is that there's always something happening on campus. And our like 7 college system also means that like every building is super different looking, which I think is kind of fun because it makes UC San Diego seem very much like a city, like just being around it. I love our library. That sounds like dumb, but UC San Diego's like Geyser Library is like pretty innovative for a college library. It's like built all about like collaboration and there's like coffee shops available. There's treadmills inside, there's foam rollers, puzzles, like lots of tables for collaboration. But then as you keep going up, they keep getting like the levels keep getting quieter and quieter. So it's like the best study space on campus. We have like a market system. That sounds silly, but you would be surprised at how often, like if you're not in the mood for dining hall food, there's just like markets all around campus that you can go to and pick up anything that you could get at like a Target or like a Trader Joe's. And they're all around campus, which is super fun. Like in general, I think that the campus life is like very conducive to exactly what students want and like. And it's like such a beautiful campus to be on.
What's your least favorite part about UCSD, and what would you wish to improve in UCSD?
I think that one of the biggest like difficulties of going to UC San Diego is probably like very universal across large public universities. Like as I'm sure you all have heard, it can be sometimes hard to get like your first choice classes and all just because, you know, like in a student body of like 28,000 undergraduate students, like it's hard sometimes to get exactly what you want. On top of that is that every lecture hall, you know, is pretty significant. Like it's anywhere from like 100 to 400 students to like one professor, meaning that oftentimes it seems like getting to know the faculty can be a little bit hard. So that I think means that also UC San Diego like can be a little bit of an isolating school, meaning that like if you're not involved in other things, then it like can be hard, I would say, to not feel isolated. Like that being said, like I personally don't feel that way, but I can like understand how in such a big school with like very little like oversight from people all the time, you know? So I would say maybe like improvements for that, like obviously smaller class sizes or more one-on-one time with the professors would be great for that. But there are like so many different ways to get the things that you want. It just probably requires a little bit more work. So like making friends might not be like as easy in like a private school, but like if you join an organization, it'll be easy. If you want to see your professor more, like office hours are always like an option and various things like that. So there's just small like social aspects I would say that like large public universities kind of amplify.
What things would you have told high school senior year you about your school?
I'm sure like a lot of other panelists probably felt this way too, but the school is like there's so much more to the school than like what you hear from like the internet or like what you hear from like orientation guides or whatever. I didn't know that much about UC San Diego when I committed, honestly. Like I liked it and it was one of the best schools that I got into, so I committed. And the more time that I've spent there, like the more and more that I love it. And that's because there's so many small factors that I didn't even know about, because they were so specific to student life and stuff that they were never really told to me as like incentives for me to commit. But now that I'm here, like there's so many small things about UCSD that I love that I like never would have thought of or even knew about as like a high school senior applying. So I probably would have told myself to not like stress so much about like whether or not I would like it there, because like I guess you just definitely will. Like wherever college campus you go to, like you're going to be surrounded by other college students that feel the same way you do. So like it's going to be okay.
Now we can head into the Q&A. So again, if you have any questions, feel free to send them to Tanvi or to Lauren.
Somebody asked me what's the food like. So there's like certain dining halls on campus that are better than others, as I'm sure there are at every school. And the dining halls that are really good, I would say like their food is incredible. Like my favorite is there's this one dining hall in Warren College and they specialize in Mongolian barbecue. So they like prepare like the noodles like in front of you, like the way they do it like a Mongolian barbecue restaurant. Like that is amazing. And then dining hall food is honestly like pretty fine. Like I'm generally not like a picky person, so I don't have too much of a problem with it. But that like calls back into what I was talking about with the markets, which is like if you're ever not in the mood for like dining hall food or if you want something else, like you can go to any of like the 7 markets on campus and get like literally anything you want, whether it's like fruits or vegetables or snacks or cereal or meat or like anything, like literally anything.
And could I also ask, for the markets, do you have to pay with cash separately, or is that meal swipes, which are included into like your tuition, housing money?
Yeah, so we have dining dollars instead of meal swipes actually, and all the markets are dining dollars, which is a huge bonus to why they're like so easy to use.
Perfect. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Somebody else asked me, what do you do for fun when not studying or in class? Um, There's like a lot of things I would say. Obviously, like the easiest one is go to the beach. You know, like there's a beach that's walking distance from my dorm. The other ones are only like a 5-minute bus ride away, and we get free bus passes as students. Apart from that, like San Diego is a really nice downtown area. So like if you go there for like dinners or like if you want to like go to a club or something, that's also really nice. There's lots of food places. Coronado Island is super fun to visit. But honestly, like as a freshman, there was a lot of fun things that I did like on campus. And so on campus, like UCSD is always having kind of like fun things for you to do. So like they'll have like outdoor concerts like pretty frequently, or you can go check out like a volleyball game or like a soccer game. Yeah, like things like that, I would say. Also, there's like a big complex of like the mall is really close, and the UTC in San Diego is beautiful. As is, there's like a whole food section with like BJ's and everything. So like on Pizookie Tuesdays, you can always catch all the UCSD students there. Someone asked, I remember you mentioned that UCSD had a good computer engineering program, but how is the industrial engineering program? I'm not super sure on the specifics about like industrial engineering, obviously, especially since I'm not a STEM major myself. But one of my friends is an industrial engineering major, and like from what I heard, he's a really big fan of it. The Jacob School of Engineering, that's like UCSD's engineering school, is like relatively reputable. So I would say that if you have specific questions, maybe look them up specifically. But from what I've heard, everyone that's an engineering major like genuinely enjoys their experience. What's it like to double major? From what I've heard, it seems very doable, especially because UCSD has like a really nice like virtual advising center set up, meaning that within 3 to 5 business days, you'll always hear a reply back from any person you email, and you can like talk to any department. So especially during Corona times, that's like really helpful because the advisor will have like open hours, or you can set up like walk in, or you can set up an appointment, and they're like super helpful about helping you figure out whatever you need to do. Like I've used them on various occasions, and they're very like accommodating to like my schedule. What are dining dollars? So I know a lot of schools use meal swipes. So the way dining dollars work is that it's very much like every dollar that my parents pay is like a dining dollar to be used on campus. But they only work on campus, and the benefit of them is that you can kind of like, it's not all you can eat, but at the same time you can take like to-go food all the time, and it works on the markets and like various places around campus. So like I don't, it's like a lot of schools that have meal swipes, it's all you can eat, but then you can't take leftovers. So UCSD, it's like the dining hall, like the swipes mean that like various pieces of food cost various amounts of dining dollars, but then you can take them all to go or whatever, and they work on markets too. What APs did I take in high school? I took AP Lit, AP Lang, AP Enviro, AP Calc, AP US History, AP World History. I think that's it. Are there teachers' assistants whom you can reach out to in case you can't get a hold of a teacher? Yes. So basically in almost every single like class that you'll take, there's like a lecture section, and then there's like a discussion section. So the lecture is what you go to. In the lecture, the professor basically like talks at you, and like sometimes there's some discussion or whatever. And then the discussion is where they were talking about the student to teacher ratio of 19:1. You're like in a discussion with about 19 to 25 students and only one teaching assistant. And that's when they really get you to like engage with the material. And they're the ones that grade all your midterms and finals and essays and everything. And the TAs are super, super nice. Like they're also just grad students, so they're a lot more approachable sometimes than the professors themselves. They also have open office hours for you to go to. You can also make appointments with most of them, and they're super nice. So like the answer to that is yes. What kind of extracurricular activities did you have, and which AP classes did you take? So for extracurricular activities, honestly, like a lot of it is like just like what I'm interested in. So it's a lot of overlap between what I'm doing at UCSD now too. So I did dance, like I was part of my competitive studio like dance team. So I did that for like, I think 3 or 4 years. I was also on my speech and debate team at high school. So I did that for 3 years as well. Let's see, like I wrote for the newspaper. I like, was in like started like the dance club at my school, so I was like one of the captains for that for a while. I also did band for all 4 years. Yeah, but it was just like things that I enjoyed. It was a good time. Which AP classes did you take? I already said them, but I can just repeat them really quickly. AP US History, AP World, AP Calc, AP Enviro, AP Lit, and AP Lang. I believe that's all of them. How are the dorms? Okay, so the first year dorms, as anyone expects, are triples. They're fine, like as triples are. You know, they're about like 5 rooms. The way ERC dorms are, at least every college is kind of a different format. But the way that the triples work is that there's just 3 beds, 3 desks, 3 closet areas, and there's usually about 5 or 6 rooms in a hall and a shared bathroom. So those are the first year dorms. They're all pretty standard. And then UCSD, in my experience, has some of the best second year dorms like of the entire UC system. So the second year dorms are always apartments. So every second year gets an apartment on campus, and most of the time they're singles or doubles, but like mostly singles. So like I'm living in a single this year, but like I would get a single regardless of the COVID situation, because like that's how the dorms are. So it's about 4 singles, maybe a few doubles, like a kitchen area, a living sitting area. Like it's overall really nice. I'm like a fan of the dorms. And the ERC dorms, the ones that I were in, at least like all also had like a kitchen area at the bottom for the entire building. Is it easy to double major between different schools and departments? So I'm not super sure about this because I'm not a double major myself, but what you do have to do is just meet with both like the majors of the schools and make sure that they sign off. But from what I've heard, I think it is doable. Obviously, it's a little bit more work on your part, since you do have to get like the advising done from separate departments, but I know that it's been done and it definitely is possible. What did I write my essays about? Oh my God, it's been a while. Let's see. I wrote my UC essays like very much on like what I did in high school and also like the type of person that I was. So I know one of them was about dance, like how it helped me grow as a person, like how like so many lessons that I learned from dance are like applied to my actual like regular life and how they've made me like overall just like better. So I talked about that. I also wrote an essay about speech and debate. And I talked about how like speech and debate was like very instrumental for me in like becoming a person that like not only can speak her own voice, but also is genuinely concerned with like the affairs of the world and like has like a vested interest in making the planet better. So it was very much like, I think I would say that I like took things that I was doing or like experiences that I've had and like found a way to like explain why they were like super important in my like personal growth and like development as a person. How is the housing? Again, like I think I mentioned a little bit, but the housing is nice. Like that's like the best that I can tell you. As a freshman, it's mostly just triples, which like understandably can be like not the most luxurious like housing. But the reason I like actually didn't mind the triple is because it kind of incentivizes you to not be in your room all the time, which is something that as a freshman I think is really easy to do. And so like by not being in my room all the time, I got to see a lot more of campus. I got to like experiment with all the various study spaces, like in all the 7 colleges. I was like out meeting my friends a lot more. I was like eating various dining hall food. And then the second year housing, as I mentioned, is luxurious. It's super nice, like lots of singles, like big kitchens, like very nice. They're all apartments, the second year housing is. Okay, and then somebody asked, what advice would you give to high schoolers right now? I'm sure that, like 2 things. Like first, directly related to college, I would say that definitely work hard on your apps and like don't skimp, but definitely don't stress out about them because every person that I know has ended up at the college that they're happy to be at. So like no matter what happens, like you will go where you're supposed to. And then I guess like the other piece of advice I would like apply to like what you're like living, like what you're doing right now in high school is I know like Corona like throws things off a bit and it might be hard like having to like do your senior year like this, but also like don't let like the stress of college and like the anxiety of like applications and getting in and stuff overshadow like your last year of high school. Like this is a really special time for you at the very least, if not just because like you have your friends and this is like your last year at home, but like also just because like you finally like are getting to reap the benefits of all that you've done for the last 3 years. So like work hard, but also I guess like enjoy this time. Okay, that's all the questions I got.
Could I also ask, because I know this is a common question usually, what is the financial aid process like? And scholarships too, if that's good.
So the financial aid process is like very similar to what it is at other schools. Like, you have to fill out the FAFSA, like various other things. And based on that, like you'll either be eligible for financial aid or you won't. UC San Diego also does offer a lot of scholarships. Many of them, like you can only apply for once you have committed and are going. But I know that if there's like specific things that you want to talk about, like the UCSD financial, like the Financial Solutions Office, I believe it's called, like the SFS, Student Financial Solutions Office, is super willing to answer all your questions. And they're also pretty responsive to emails too. So I would recommend reaching out. Somebody else asked, what is the maximum minimum number of classes you can take per quarter? How many would you personally recommend? So the maximum is usually 5 and the minimum is usually 3. That's like what it kind of is to like be considered a student. Like if you are only taking 2 classes, that's also super doable, but then you'd be considered a part-time student. And if you're taking more than 5, you have to specially apply to like the class that you want to take and like make sure you provide a good reason as to why like you want to take more than 5. So that's like 3 classes is about 12 units, 5 classes is about 20 units, and like the happy medium that like most UC students go for is about 4. So that's 16 units per quarter, and I would say that keeps you pretty busy in the sense that like you probably will always have work to do, but not so much that it's overwhelming and you can't do anything else. More than 4 does get really difficult, but 4 is like good. Yeah, I can like send my email into the chat because somebody asked for it. So if you have any questions, email me at that email. The social sciences department is really, really great. I've actually taken like I took an anthropology class last year, and I'm planning on taking a sociology class like this upcoming quarter. And like my experience with them has been like very nice. Like for the most part, they're all I mean, obviously they're all like very reputable professors that are like super well educated, but like in my experience, they're also like very genuinely concerned with like their students' well-being. Most like all the TAs and the professors are like really, really nice and receptive to like students and like if they're having any issues. And they're also like super willing to make adjustments based on like what the students want. Like that being said, like the department is also like pretty good. Like a lot, like all the students there are like super smart and hardworking, and overall I'm a fan. My favorite class that I've taken so far. Let me think about all the classes I've taken. I know there's like a few that I really liked. Okay. Oh, like this past quarter for one of my GEs, I was like a natural science requirement and I took a class all about volcanoes. And it was so fun. Like it was such a random class because like volcanoes, but it was such a fun class. And like my teacher, my professor, he is like a volcanologist. That's what they're called, people that study volcanoes. And he like loves volcanoes. And we would like go to his class and you could just tell how excited he was about volcanoes. And that was just such a fun class to be in because it like was like a pretty easy class, but he was so excited about it that it was just fun. My favorite part about being a college student, it's kind of like a combination of things. First thing is like for sure the education aspect. So like you asked also about like my favorite class, and I think that my favorite classes, while I mentioned the volcanoes one, like the rest of them are all like upcoming. Like as I get older and like take more and more and like finish more and more of my GEs, like I get more and more into the classes that are super specific to my major, which is like the field of study that I chose. And so I think that that is going to be like, that is one of the best parts, is like being super in control of my education. And like it's also like a nice responsibility of like my education is kind of entirely on my shoulders, and I can also like control it the way that I want, you know, like if I want to go all in and take all these classes, I can. If I want to change my major, I can. I only have to study this one thing that really matters to me. I like that. And then obviously I like living on campus and being with all my friends all the time. It's like a really nice relationship being with your friends all the time, and that like first of all the time goes by really quickly, and then your relationships are just that much stronger. The sports at UCSD, so I don't know if you heard, but this is the first year that all of our sports are actually D1, so they're pretty fantastic. I would say some of the most popular sports for like students that like to go watch are like volleyball and soccer and basketball. Those are like the most common in terms of like, oh, what do students go like watch? But in terms of the quality of the sports themselves, we are now officially a D1 school. Okay, I think that's all the questions.
Well, thank you so much, Tanvi, for joining us today and sharing all of your wonderful knowledge and advice. I think we can probably end early if no one else has any questions.
Oh,
we
really
can
quickly,
stick
sorry,
around.
somebody just asked me. They said, are there a lot of rec sports options? And yes, I know a few people that are on club soccer teams, club baseball teams. There's a club gymnastics team, a club lacrosse team. So there are club options for almost everything. And there's also like some club options for like non-traditional sports. So like we have a sailing team, a surfing team, things like that. Okay, I think now I'm done.
Awesome. Well, yeah, we can finish up. But definitely, if you're interested in learning about more UCs, we have another event tomorrow. I forgot exactly which school is going to be there. I believe UC Irvine will be there, and
UC Santa Barbara.
UC Santa Barbara, yes. And so definitely attend that if you have the time, and have a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you so much for joining us.